The afternoon sun bled gold across the steel-gray walls of the Weldon Auto Factory, but there was nothing warm about it. The air was thick with silence, the kind that follows after cruelty. On the ground, a little girl's doll lay broken, one arm twisted backward, its painted smile smeared with dirt. A few feet away, her mother struggled to stand, one hand pressed against a bleeding lip, her other arm trembling as she tried to shield her child from a world that had just shown its ugliest face. Her name was Clara. Her 6-year-old daughter was Hazel. And moments ago, they had learned that monsters don't always hide under beds, sometimes they wear uniforms, hold clipboards, and sign paychecks. Clara had spent years breaking her back for the factory, working 12-hour shifts for less than she deserved. But when she discovered the truth, that her manager had been stealing from her wages, she found the courage to speak up. That courage was met with laughter, then with violence. Now, the men who hurt her were gone, leaving only dust, blood, and a child's tears behind. Clara whispered to her daughter, "It's okay, baby. Mommy's fine," though her voice cracked like glass. But fate wasn't finished with them yet, because just beyond the factory gates, the low growl of 5 motorcycles began to rise. The sound rolled through the air like thunder, the kind that announces a storm, and this storm was coming for justice. Clara's heart pounded as the engines grew louder. She turned her head, shielding Hazel behind her, unsure what to expect. Then she saw them, 5 bikers riding in formation, chrome machines glinting under the fading sun. Their leather vests bore a red-winged skull and 3 simple words that sent whispers through the air: Hell's Angels. To most, those words meant trouble. But to Clara and Hazel, standing there bruised and broken, trouble had already come and gone. The leader killed his engine first.
Please like and subscribe for more videos.
Yeah, hit that subscribe button and join our crew.
He was older than the others, rugged, broad-shouldered, with gray streaks running through his beard like battle scars. His tattoos snaked down both arms, telling silent stories of survival. The patch on his vest read, "RL, Chief." He stepped off his bike and surveyed the scene. A young mother clutching her daughter. A broken doll lying in the dirt. The purple bloom of a fresh bruise spreading across her cheek. He didn't need to ask what had happened, the truth was painted in the silence between their breaths. The man's jaw tightened. He knelt down, lowering himself until he was eye level with Hazel. His voice, though rough like gravel, carried a gentleness that made her stop trembling. "Hey, sweetheart," he said softly. "Who did this?" Hazel's tiny hand lifted and pointed toward the factory gates. Behind him, the rest of the bikers exchanged glances, silent, sharp, full of meaning. These were men who didn't talk much, because when justice is loud, words are quiet. Chief stood up slowly, the leather of his vest creaking. The sun caught the edge of his silver chain as he turned back toward the factory. "Boys," he said, voice low but heavy. That one word was all it took. 5 engines roared back to life, filling the air with a thunder that rolled down the street. The sound made the factory's metal walls hum, made birds scatter from the power lines. Clara's eyes widened. "Wait, please. Don't go," she cried, but they were already gone, 5 silhouettes cutting through the dust like a storm chasing its reason. Inside the factory yard, the same men who had laughed minutes ago froze as the gate swung open. The bikers rolled in like a wall of fury. The workers stopped everything, wrenches dropped, machines fell silent, and for the first time, the laughter of cruelty turned into the sound of fear. Chief dismounted first, boots slamming the ground like judgment. The factory manager, a pale, sharp-faced man named Derek Walsh, stepped forward, trying to mask his panic behind arrogance. "Can I help you?" he sneered, though his voice wavered. Chief didn't answer. He just kept walking. The other bikers fanned out, forming a quiet wall behind him. Derek's confidence cracked. "You're trespassing," he barked, but his words faltered as Chief stopped inches from him, his eyes burning with something that made the smaller man step back. What happened next was never written down. The workers only heard raised voices, then silence, the kind that weighs heavy after something real happens. Minutes later, the gate opened again. The bikers rode out slowly, calm, steady, like a storm that had done its work. Derek and his men were nowhere to be seen. When they reached the street, Clara and Hazel were still standing where they had left them. Hazel's small hand clung to her mother's dress. Chief parked his bike beside them. The rumble of the engines died, leaving only the hum of the evening wind. He reached into his vest pocket and pulled out something small, a brand new doll, its blue dress fluttering in the breeze. "For you," he said. Hazel's lip quivered. "She's pretty," she whispered, her voice small but clear. Chief smiled, the kind of smile that looks strange on a man who's seen too many bad days. "So are you, kid." Then he reached into his wallet and pulled out a thick envelope of cash. He pressed it into Clara's hand. She shook her head immediately, tears welling up. I can't take this. You can, he interrupted gently. You've been through enough. Her lips trembled. For a moment, she couldn't speak. She only nodded, clutching the envelope as if it were air. The bikers turned to leave, but Hazel's voice stopped them. Mister, she called, running forward and hugging Chief's leg. Thank you. Chief looked down at the tiny arms wrapped around his boot. For a man who had long believed the world was too dark for kindness, that one word, thank you, hit harder than any bullet ever could. He crouched and placed a gloved hand on her shoulder. You take care of your mom, all right? That's your job now. Hazel nodded with fierce determination. With that, Chief stood, started his engine, and the 5 men rode off, their engines echoing like thunder fading into the horizon. The next morning, the Weldon Auto Factory didn't open. Workers arrived to find the gates chained shut and a notice pinned to the front door, under investigation. Derek Walsh and his crew never came back. Some said they'd quit, others said they'd been fired. But those who were there that day whispered that something else had happened, something that had taught those men the meaning of fear, and maybe even shame. For Clara, life began to change slowly but surely. Within a week, she was offered a position at a new company, one that paid her fairly and treated her with dignity. She moved Hazel into a better apartment, where sunlight came through the windows and laughter replaced silence. Every night, Hazel placed her new doll, the one Chief had given her, beside her bed. She called it Angel, because, as she explained to her mother, they had wings too, Mommy. Just on their jackets. Clara smiled whenever she heard that. Sometimes she still caught herself thinking about those men, rough, scarred, and misunderstood, who had shown more decency in a single afternoon than her employers had in years. And somewhere out on the open road, Chief rode with his brothers beneath the wide sky. The world still saw them as dangerous, but he didn't mind. He knew the truth. Sometimes the people you fear the most are the ones who stand up when no one else dares, because real heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they wear leather, and ride toward the storm. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful tales of humanity and redemption, because in a world that often feels cold, compassion still roars louder than hate.
Your friend, subscribe my YouTube channel and press bell icon for more videos update. Thank you everyone, and God bless you.